I'm going to begin by showing you the two posters we are going to use as inspiration for what we're doing today. The first is this one for Soul Pepper, the 2009 play Civil Elegies. And what I like about this poster is the use of this sans serif font. This larger area where I can have a very strong image, and the use of typography below is a great model. I'm going to follow that. I also really love this Christian Marclay poster here that uses this halftone filter to create this almost comic book pixelated effect with this image that's layered in three different colors. And then right through the middle, it's broken apart with the main text. And I love this font. I'm going to also utilize this font as well. And I'm going to try to follow a lot of these examples as we then will ultimately create this poster here. Now, to get started, let's go up to File, New, and we are going to create a custom size for our project. We're going to call this day two Photoshop workshop. And we're not concerned with pixels. We are looking at inches for the size of the poster. We're going to start with a 16 inches wide by 22 tall. That gives us a portrait layout with 300 pixels per inch. And we can keep this transparent as a background. You can also, if you like, choose white or a different color if you like. You can go ahead and adapt your poster to your own aesthetics as well. Now, the first thing I want to do is pull in the area for my main image. So I'm going to go to the rectangle tool over here. Now for my layout, you'll notice things might look a little bit different than yours. If you go up to Window, Workspace, I'm using Graphic and Web. You can really adjust this layout as you see fit to create your workspace to be very different. So I'm choosing Workspace, Graphic and Web. The toolbar also pops out or can be smaller. I have kind of a set of different tools, and you can customize this under your Photoshop settings to decide what your toolbar is going to look like ultimately by changing the tools. So if you don't see things, you can find them in a couple of different ways. The first thing I'm going to choose is the rectangle tool. And it doesn't matter at this moment what the fill or stroke is at this time. I am under shape rather than path or pixels. And I'm going to simply drag out a rectangle about the size of what I imagine my source image uses. So this one is taller, so maybe I do need to adjust this a little bit, and I can just drag it before I hit enter to create something that perhaps better models that. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And what I want to shift here is under the appearance, I'm going to choose no fill, and then the stroke is going to be black. And right now I've got this at around 59 pixels in stroke. So what I have next, and again, you can adjust properties over here. You may not see properties. If you don't, you can go up to Window and select Properties, and then that should pop in and allow you to adjust things like the fill and the stroke. You can also do it up at the top here. All right, so let's find a good source image to use for our main image in this poster. So I'm going to walk you through three different ways that we can do this. Within Google, we are able to search by image. And under your Canvas workshop folders, if you head there, you will find a file under the Photoshop workshop files called yarnhead.png. And that's what we're going to be working with here. Within Google, I can go search by image. I can upload a file, and then I'm going to go select that particular image. And it's going to show me some sources where, the original artist who did this image. And again, I don't want to copy them completely, but we've got some options here from other artists, such as this image here that could be a really strong option. Kind of the tangled mess here could be really great too. I think the only element here with the wheat might be a bit confusing. This one is really strong, and this fits really well. And if I click between these two, we can see as I hover over this on the bottom right of this image, it says it's 640 by 490. That's not going to be a high enough resolution image for me. But this one could work. We're at 1484 by 1920, so that's a stronger option for here. And I can go ahead and right click on it or control or command control click on it and then open image in new tab. And then I can begin working with this image. It's not fantastic quality, so that may be out in that regard. Um, Let me show you another way to be able to do this. What I'm going to do here is go to Advanced Google Image Search. And you could put in a phrase such as tangled mind, for example, or some kind of phrasing that would capture what you're looking for. And what's nice about advanced image search is I can look for large images. I can choose 4 megapixels, 6 mega. I can really go up to a very, very high quality. And the standard image search doesn't let you do that. I'm just going to go ahead and search for larger than 4 megapixels, see what that gives us here. So we've got a few options that we might be able to use. Not a ton of things pop up here, but this might be a compelling image, as might this. So I'm going to go ahead and open these in a new tab just to get a good sense of what my options are. And you can see here, this one is 2500 by 2519 pixels. So already that is a much larger image, as is this one. So the quality of that is quite high. So you can go ahead and use these within your um, poster as you go out and try to find something that is inspired from your source inspiration poster. The other alternative is for us to go ahead and use an AI system for this. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways for us to do that as well. I'm going to show you two ways to use artificial intelligence to generate assets for your poster, which will be especially useful for those of you who aren't comfortable with your own art skills or want to create an image that you have in your head and you want to achieve your vision, but can't find a source image online. The two options we're going to look at today are Adobe Firefly and using ChatGPT for creating an asset for a poster. When you Google Adobe Firefly, it brings you to this page, and we're going to go ahead and click on Go to Firefly. You'll also notice I'm signed in with my UMD account here. And what we are going to create is an image inspired by the yarn head character that I showed you a moment ago. So I will do a text to image generation where I'm going to ask it to please create a drawing of a seated woman looking at her cell phone with cables coming out of the phone that create a large red yarn ball for her head. The yarn ball should entirely cover her head, and we should not see her features. Okay, let's see what it does with that. Okay, so this is a start. This definitely captures some of what I'm looking for. So I will go ahead and save this to my workshops folder, and I will call this Firefly Yarn Ball Head 1 or 2. I've already created one just as a test case, and I'll go ahead and save this as an option. These don't quite capture what I was looking for, but this one might also be a good option. You can download a version like this. So if you want to go ahead and practice along with me and generate something, you can. Alternatively, I'm going to upload all of these images to our workshop folder for Photoshop. So you can go ahead and download those directly if you don't want to follow along with me. What I'm also going to show you is that Adobe Firefly can use an image as a reference. So I'm going to upload that original yarn head image. I'm going to turn the strength down. I don't want it to copy it too closely, if possible. But what you can see here is that it now has a reference that it is drawing from. So I can go ahead and click generate again, and it's going to use that attached image as a reference. Now, what you notice about this is compared to the original referent, these results are strikingly similar to the level that it does feel like plagiarism to me. It's taking that original artistic composition and it's trying to mimic it so closely that it borders on plagiarism. That's not quite what I'm going for. I want something inspired by it, but maybe not as close. So I could use either of these images if I like. I will go ahead and download this one as well. I call this 3. I'll upload these for you to use as well, and you can follow along and see if you can continue to adjust the prompt to come up with different solutions and find something that you like. Let's hop over to ChatGPT and see what it can produce for us. So I'm going to actually pull this same composition or the same text prompt and see what ChatGPT produces for us. So here is the first image that ChatGPT has produced out of the text prompt that we've given it. Similar to Firefly, you can attach a source image as a reference. I'm going to choose that original Yarnhead um, work of art and ask it to adjust to that aesthetic. Overall look of the attached image. All right, so this is the result. And again, very, very similar to the original. We may want to deviate a little bit further away from that. We can adjust our prompts accordingly to produce something different. I'm going to go ahead and upload a few options for you to choose from if you would like to use some of the assets that have been generated from AI in our workshop today. You may alternatively go ahead and produce your own and pull those into Photoshop for the workshop that we're going to do today. Let's go ahead and jump over to Photoshop and import one of these images and start applying it to our inspiration posters. Let's go ahead and open that one of the source images that we have for this. So we have different versions that have been created in Firefly. We have some that have been created in ChatGPT. You can go ahead and choose the one that you would like to use today. I'm going to choose this one. And now what I would like to do is select just the figure and the yarn, the wires that are surrounding this figure. Now, there's a couple of different ways we can do this. I've got down here a context-aware toolbar. You may not see that yet. If you don't, you can go up to uh, Window and choose Contextual Taskbar, and then that will show up. This gives you a couple of different objects like Select Subject. And that's a good start. You can see that a lot of the wires are not yet selected. To finish that job, I'm going to choose my magic wand tool over here, which is also, if I click and hold, you can kind of see that it's nested under object selection tool, quick selection tool, and so on. So if you don't quite see that yet, you can uh, press and hold this and Magic Wand will pop up. Now, Magic Wand is a selection tool, and with selection tools, it's always important to understand what's happening on the very top bar here. If this just simple square is selected, that means every time you click something, it's going to be an entirely new selection. Now you see everything vanished. And I also have a tolerance of 5, which means the shade that I clicked on and 5 shades beyond that. So very, very small window of color options that you're going to select. So for this, instead, I might choose something like 40 instead of 5. And if I click, you can kind of see it selects all of that. And every time I click something new, it's a brand new selection. I'm just clicking around. And that's because this square is selected. If I go to the next one, that means if I select something and I continue to click, it's going to continue to add to that selection. Um, and I'm going to use Command or Control D to deselect to turn off those marching ants. And if I need to take away things, that's what this is right here, this option for the third. And these are the three that I use mostly for the work that I do here. All right, so let's go back to choosing the select subject. If you don't see it down here, the other option is to go up to select at the very top of your page, your main toolbar, and then choose subject. And then that will pop up. And now with my magic wand tool and the additional selection option clicked, those two squares here, I'm gonna zoom in with a pinching motion on my tablet, or you can also choose the magnifying glass option. And I'm going to click on the different wires with a tolerance of 40. All right, it looks like it got almost everything. If you accidentally click the background, you can just Command or Control Z to select away from that. All right, I think this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and go up to Edit Cut or Command Control X. We missed a little piece there, so I'm going to Command Control Z, and I want to grab that. Okay, and now I can cut it. Let's go back to my Day 2 Photoshop and go Command or Control V. That is my paste. And I want to enlarge this. I need to transform it or free transform it. And then that is edit, um, transform, or sorry, free transform, Command T or Control T. And let's go ahead and make this larger. Now, one of the things that Photoshop has gotten very good at in recent years is allowing or creating a lower quality image as you enlarge it. It used to be very, very terrible, but now the software is able to fill in a lot of those gaps and create fairly good quality. You can see here that I blew that up a lot and it still looks really good. So that's something that's more recent and you can now do. Now you'll notice if I kind of slide this down in front of my rectangle, it's the figure is in front of the black rectangle, and that's because the layers palette over here is always a hierarchy, as I mentioned last time. So I will drag this down below, and it now sits behind the rectangle. So if you want things behind, they need to go further down in the layers palette. All right, now what I would like to do is start adding some of this text right here. And I really like this font. So we are going to go find that font with Adobe. Adobe's got a great tool for getting us close to that. If you do a Google search for Adobe Font Finder, this website should come up, which is fonts.adobe.com, and it gives us this option for a visual search for fonts. So now I am going to select the Civil Elegies poster. And I'm going to select just that one part. I'm going to click Next Step. And I have to scroll up and it says what text do you want to compare it against. And we're going to go ahead and say Civil Elegies. And here it identifies Bebas Noe bold. Now, this is a very strong font, Bebas Noe. It's good to have on your Adobe account. So what I'd like you to do here is click View Family. And what you will do is click Add Family. And I've done that over with my UMD account. So, and this takes a little bit of a moment after you activate your Adobe font to go back to your workshop folder, or sorry, your workshop file. Let's click text and we're going to add the numbers or the number 25. And I'm going to click and highlight that. I'm going to change the font color to black for the moment. And then if you go to your character palette over here, and again, if you don't see that, it's window character. Your Adobe fonts will be highlighted right here. And I can choose Bebas Noe Pro. And if I hover next to whatever the font size is that it comes in for you, and actually I'm going to change this to bold. And I'm going to hover over these two letter T's next to the number of the size of the font. And I'm going to click and drag to the right. And you can see that it scrubs. This is called scrubbing the size of it. And I can increase it significantly. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag that and move it. Let me hop back to my example poster. And we're looking pretty good. Could probably be even a bit larger. So let me go ahead and maybe take that up to 315 pixels or so. And now what I would like to do is I'm going to add a bit of text right here. My main text is going to follow the Christian Marclay model, as you can see. Uh, but what I'm going to do here is write a bit of a subtitle here, and it's going to hierarchically be smaller. And it's going to say, platforms spin your focus into a tangled ball of data, harvesting every strand for profit. I copy that. And you will then grab text, click somewhere next to, not too close, but next to the 25. And I'm going to type that in, or for me, I had it already ready to go. So I'm going to paste it and bring the size down. When you've got rulers activated, you can click anywhere on these numbers and drag right onto your document. And I can do the same down here. And what this will allow me to do is to create perfect alignment between things. If I click on the 25 layer and with my move tool selected, I can drag this right over to those guides. And so my 25 is aligned perfectly with that rectangle. And if you look at how Civil Elegies did it, if I drag out a guide just to see, yes, absolutely perfectly aligned. Same thing with the very top of those numbers and the top of the word Civil Elegies. And that's what I want to do with this as well. And you'll notice if I begin to drag this closer, I'm off over here. I'm not in alignment. If I drag out a ruler here, the word data doesn't go all the way over. There's a couple of different ways to handle that. You can do simply Command Control T to do a free transform and then just drag it to the edge. That doesn't change it doesn't stretch the font, which you want to avoid. You want to avoid stretching to make fit. You want to instead increase the size of the font. So that's one way of doing it, or simply increasing the font size over here. You'll notice that there's quite a bit of room between these two lines for me anyway, and that's because the line height was changed from auto to something else, and you can adjust this as you see fit to whatever line height you like. So, for example, if I change the line height, my font size is about 48. I've changed the line height to 48, and that was the result. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to keep it like that for now. We may adjust it as we go along. You'll notice in the civil elegies that they've got a couple of different colors, so we want to follow that model as well. So with the 25 selected, I'm going to double click on the T here. That's going to select the whole thing. And I'm just going to click and drag on the 5. And what I would like to do is change the color. I can click over here for color, and if I hover, I now have an eyedropper tool, and I can select any color. I'm going to choose one from the color of the yarn. And you may then double click on the T here for this subtitle and choose another letter to highlight. And there we go. Okay, so we are now starting to take shape here. The next thing I would like us to do from the civil elegies example is to pull in these some logos at the bottom. The first part is to create these lines and to create a clean division between where these should go. So the first part is I want to create just a solid line here. I'm going to choose my line tool. The shortcut for that is the letter U. It also might give you other options, and you may have to uh, scroll through them to get to the line tool. And for this, as I drag it out, we will see as you drag, holding shift will keep it perfectly straight, and I can go from ruler to ruler. And it's far too thick at the moment, so I'm going to change the pixel size of this down to perhaps 15 pixels is a good size there. And now I need to create two more that I'm going to move the contextual bar here. So I want to align these with a third, divide this into a third here. So at about um, just under 5.5, I'm going to put the first one ruler, and then here at 10.5 or so. And you can actually drag these and move these around if we want to adjust exactly where they go. And I'm going to zoom in here, and with the line tool selected, I'm going to just click and drag and hold shift, not quite to the bottom of the page. And now to make sure that these are perfectly the same length, rather than creating a second one with the move tool selected, I'm going to hold Option or Alt, and then you'll see that when I do that, the icon changes. And I'm going to just, with that selected, I'm going to, sorry, you know what's happening? My auto select is on and it's not letting me uh, select just that. So I'm going to click and drag and hold shift and then let go. So that may take a little moment. I accidentally moved one of my rulers. That's okay. It's fine. What I'm going to actually do at the moment here anyway is I'm going to remove these guides just to see how things look. So I'm going to go down to View, Show, um, Guides to remove the guides at the moment just to see. And I'm sufficiently happy with that. I could adjust these a little bit in in their placement, and that's okay. So the first thing I want to do is put our departmental website right here. So with the um, text tool, I'm going to go amst.umd.edu. Make sure that's black. Okay, but what I would really like to do is to get it a little closer to the Soul Pepper typeface there. So I'm going to go back to my Adobe Font Finder. I'm going to go all the way back to the start of the visual search here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to visual search here and I'm going to find that Soulpepper font and I'm going to select an image. Within your workshop folders, there is a poster called Soulpepper Ring Round the Moon, which is a higher quality image and we'll be able to identify that specific font. The Civil Elegies poster is just not high quality enough for what we're looking for. So I'm going to drag this box down until we get to we're on top of Soulpepper here, .ca. Let's click next step. Scroll up. It's going to ask you what font you want. That's fine. And then it gives us our options. And the one I really like here is the Garamond Premiere Pro Semi-Bold. And I've already added it to my account. So as you see fonts that you like, you can choose things like Attic Antique, or Broadsheet is another good one. You could just click add font that are similar to what we're looking for. I'm going to go back to Photoshop and my poster here. And I've got the amps.umd.edu there, and I want to follow that typeface. I'm going to click on the little drop down, and then I can see Garamond Premiere Pro Semi-Bold there. And again, it takes a little bit of time to get it up and running and give it a moment if you don't see the font right away. I'm going to make this larger. So maybe about 40 point font. And now from our workshop files, I am going to download the American Studies 260 logo. I'm going to go Command Control A to select the whole thing, and then Command Control C. This is one way to pull something in, where now I'm going to go ahead and hit Command Control V to paste it. I'm going to drag it down here, and with my free transform, Command Control T, I'm going to shrink it down and hit enter. Or you can choose this text box here. And now from our workshops folder, we are going to find the UMD logo black text. And we can go Command Control A to select everything. Or another option is if you right click next to the word layer 1, it will ask you to duplicate a layer. And I can call this UMD logo. And I want to send it to what I'm working on today, day 2 Photoshop workshop. Okay, and UMD, I don't see it here, but that's because, oh, there, sorry, it's up in the upper corner here. So I'm going to drag it down and then free transform it to be roughly the same size as my AMPS 260 logo and hit enter. And there we go. And comparing Civil Elegies here, they've got the Soulpepper as well, and some dates. So what we will do is with our text tool, um, underneath the letters 25, not too close. You see sometimes that when you click with the text tool on or too close to an existing typeface, it will select that typeface. What we need to do is kind of click away from it, and you can really click anywhere as long as it's far enough away from existing type. And I'm going to write the word American Studies, and it's huge because it's still in PBOS Noe Pro. I'm going to select it all, Command A, and I'm going to go back to my typeface here and choose that Garamond Premiere. Make sure it's not in all caps. And shrink this down. And I need to make sure it's in black. I'm just going to nest that there under the number 25. And we could also follow a few other options. We can put the dates that we are working on this here. We are currently in, um, we can add the dates that we are of this week. I'm still in Garamond Pro. I want to go back to Bebas Noi. And we see from the example again, they've got some of the letters, or sorry, the numbers highlighted differently. And I'm gonna, again, with the dropper tool, shift those around. And you'll notice the typefaces are a bit different bolding, so we may even want to bump this up in size. Also give it enough distance so it's not confused with the subtitle here. Now, so I'm content with how we've borrowed ideas from civil elegies, and we've really stuck fairly similar with the typefaces, where those things are placed, adding small details like the logos, little moments of text. It's not a perfect copy, and that's fine. It's really just drawing inspiration. And what I'd like to do now is to create this interesting graphic behind my figure. And what we will do in order to achieve this is from your workshop files, we're going to open Apple iPhone Hero image. And again, we want to select the subject. You can do that up here, or select the using the contextually aware bar. A little bit of mine was not selected, so I need to choose my lasso tool and the addition option. And just I'm choosing the polygonal lasso and I'm just clicking around, and now it's all selected. So I have the iPhone selected here. I'm gonna cut it because I do want to put it onto a transparent background instead. And for that, I'm gonna go up to File, New, and then I'm choosing from the clipboard, making sure that the background contents are transparent. And then I'm gonna go Command V to paste it. All right, at this point, I'm done with Apple iPhone Hero JPEG. I'm gonna close it without saving that. And now I have this untitled option here. I'm going to create three different versions of this, a blue, a yellow, and a red. So let's start with creating the blue version. I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. So again, we're colorizing. And I'm going to drag this until I get to blue. I'm going to bump up the saturation significantly. I want it to have kind of that pop um, comic book kind of option, and then I'll click OK. And we are now going to create the colorized halftone option under our filters. Under you go click on filter, pixelate, color halftone. Now the max radius here for me is 8. You can play around with this and see what it happens with the default options here. I might go ahead and bump this up to 10 pixels and see how that looks. And you can see it gives me that comic book look. I'm going to Command A or Control A to select all, and then I'm going to copy this. And what I would like to do is go back to my workshop folder. I'm going to click on the very first layer, which is my character. And from here, I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to free transform this until it covers up quite a bit of the character here. And we're going to eventually pull this back behind the character. We will drag this down once I'm done creating this. I'm going to close these other windows. Let's go back here. I'm going to back up with Command or Control Z until it's back to its original state. And now what I want to do is again colorize it through image adjustment, hue saturation. And I'm going to turn this one red. And there's that red one for me. And I'm going to click OK. And now I go back to my filter, pixelate, color halftone. I'll try 8 radius on this to see how that looks. That looks great. And I will go ahead and Command Control A and then copy. And we will go back to my Photoshop Workshop and paste this. And now I'm going to rotate it. We have pasted this. We are going to free transform it, edit, free transform. And I want to rotate this by hovering over, and let me move it over here so you can kind of see. As I hover over one of the corners, the icon changes to a curved arrow. And that's what I'm looking for. And I'm also going to drag it so it's larger. And I'm going to hit enter. Now, the relationship between these two can be, we can shift the opacity if we would like to. The other option is for us to choose one of these, such as lighten or screen. And you can kind of scroll through these and see which one, like vivid light looks good. I'll choose that one. Let's go back to our hero and Command Control Z a couple of times until we're back to our original. And then the last time we will go up to image, sorry, image adjustments, hue saturation. And we're going to colorize this one to yellow. And we will do one last filter, pixelate, color halftone. And I'll try 12 on this one just to see what it looks like. All right, that's great. Got a great comic book feel to that. Pop art. We will Command A, Command C to then paste here. And then we're going to free transform again. All of these, is this Command Control T, Command Control V, and all of the shortcuts make our process so much faster. And I'm going to blow this one up quite large as well, creating more of a bit of a odd abstract background here. I'll hit enter, and I'm going to adjust the options here, choosing something like lighten. And now what I'd like to do is blow this all up to the size of the rectangle. So with Shift held, I'm currently on the yellow layer, and now I'm going to click on the blue layer, holding the Shift key down, and that selects all 3 of these. And with that, I can go ahead and free transform all 3 of these together, and I can blow them up to a size that allows me to fill most of this space here. And I'll hit enter. And what I actually want to do at this time is to merge these 3 layers so I can cut them out. So I will, hovering over the gray area next to one of the layer names, I'm going to right click, control click, and choose merge layers. And now with the marquee tool over here, which is this dashed rectangle, I'm going to drag out exactly the size of my rectangle. And then I will select inverse because I want to select everything outside of that rectangle. And currently I'm only on layer 5. So if I go edit cut, it will cut just that one particular layer. And now I can drag layer 1 on top of it. And now we've got that design ready to go. You'll notice that the wires when we do this of this yarn disappear quite a bit, or they're hard to see against the pop background of these um, color halftone filters that we created. What I'd like to do here is instead create a stroke around my character. So with the character selected, at the very bottom, you'll see FX at the bottom of the layers palette. And I'm going to choose that and I'm going to choose stroke. And then it creates that stroke around the character and the wires. And about anywhere between around a 20 pixel stroke should do for my character. And you'll need to adjust it for your own look as well. And I'll click OK. All right. The last thing we want to do is pull in the main headline for this. We're going to use this Christian Marclay example. And what I'd love to do is find out what that font is. Let's go back to Adobe Fonts Finder. And I'm going to select the Christian Marclay Aesthetic Apparatus poster. And it chooses Marclay. That's fine. I really like that because I want to find that R. And then we can click next step. Okay, we've got a couple of different options. None that look like that R is quite. There we go. Got a couple here. BioRhyme is the one I added, but something like Slab Extended VF Light might work. But BioRhyme is a good option. Filmotype wand is another you could choose. So pick one of those and add the font to your um, Adobe fonts. All right, what I would like to do is now cut through my main character and the background to slice just right through. And in order to do that, I need to blend these two together. I need to merge them so that they will, when I cut through them, it'll cut through both the background and the figure. So I'm going to hold Shift and click so I have both layers selected and right click, control click next to the layer's name. And I'm going to choose Merge Layers. Now those two are a single layer. And before I proceed, I want to drag down a couple of guides for myself so I can figure out exactly where I want to cut. Maybe just right under the shirt and then right under the bend of the thumb. And now I'm going to choose my polygonal lasso tool. And again, that's hidden under the lasso tool. If you click and hold, you can get that. And I am going to zoom in a bit and I'm going to just start clicking around. So I'm going to start in the upper left corner here. I'm going to click once and then hold Shift and go all the way across and then come down. And I'm going to hold Shift until I get to the finger here. And now I need to, and you don't have to be perfect at this, but we're going to just kind of click around the hand and the phone. I'm just going to keep click with the polygonal lasso. The way that you do this is you just kind of move it a little bit and then click and move and click the mouse and move and click the mouse, move and click the mouse. And I'm just following along so I can cut out everything right around there. And then once I get back to my guide, I can hold Shift again, come out here, and then go right back to my start. And then the start, will create a icon with a circle. That means you've closed the loop. If you don't see it, you can simply just double click and it will create those marching ants. Last element is to go edit cut, and I have cut out that piece. I'm going to go ahead and hide my guides again for the moment. View, show guides. All right. And now what I would like to do, the last element is to click in here and in all caps, I'm going to write the word unraveling, hit return, and then the word attention. I'm going to select all of that and go to my BioRhyme typeface. And I want it to be extra bold if you've got it. And I'm going to drag it up to be fairly large. Let's try 75 point font. And I'm going to then also click my most bottom layer, oops, and drag it up above so that the word hides behind that phone a little bit. And you can play around with the placement of this as you see fit, exactly how big the type ought to be. And if I double click on that T and then choose that R, I can change the color to the yarn. Great. One last item before we wrap up. I would like to add a little bit of depth to this. So I'm going to click on layer one and I'm going to add a bit of a drop shadow. So if I go to FX, I can scroll a bit until I see drop shadow. And what I'm looking for is that the phone, I would love to have, yeah, this little bit of drop shadow here onto the text behind it just to add a bit of depth. And so I'm creating an opacity of about 33. The distance is 38. Spread is 14. So distance, you can just see how you can play around with these sliders and see what it does to the drop shadow. Um, and kind of choose one that fits with your ideas here, and then we'll click OK. All right, and that's where we are going to wrap up for today. So, what I would like you to do for this poster is we're going to save a couple of versions of it. We're going to go File, Save, and I'm going to save it to my computer within my Workshops folder under Photoshop. I'm going to call this Day 2 Photoshop Workshop.psd. And I'm also going to save as, file save as, and I'm going to choose JPEG. And if you want to save it here with your last name and then dash day 2 Photoshop workshop.jpg. And we're going to save a high quality version of it. And that is the file that you can go ahead and upload for day 2. I look forward to seeing your work, and I hope you are able to adapt all of these lessons for your own posters to begin to think about how to blend a couple of different posters into a meaningful uh, poster about information overload or similar topics.